coming up next is Shelly Cannon, as you can see on the screen. And today is going to be the first time she's going to share something kind of openly that only a few of her closest people in her life right now know. And there's so many, like, I can tell you so many things that are like getting through my mind. August 13th, I was diagnosed. I'm doing this seminar, and there's a young lady coming up to talk about what she's getting ready to face. So, yeah, I need her mic. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Gary. So, what I want you to do is pray for me to get through this with her, because I think that not only is it going to inspire you guys, ladies, but it's going to inspire other people when she decides to share. So, this is first time I think this has happened in my life that I've had this opportunity. It's a privilege, I think, for sure. And how long ago did we meet?
What, 3 years?
3 years ago?
Something like that.
Something like that.
You're way better with dates than I am.
Yeah, but we met. So we met 3 years ago. But how long have we been in communication?
I think, oh gosh, since bodybuilding, so
Cool.
10 years?
So over 10 years. How did I do that?
You messaged me and invited me to one of your shows.
I did, like
Yeah.
over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And what I did not know is why, right? And then years go by, and I sent her a message again. And what happened?
He wrote me and said, I don't know why I'm being led to reach out to you. I just really feel like we need to talk, and I'd love to know your story and why I keep being compelled to reach out to you. And I just, okay, let's do it.
And she did. It wasn't that hard, but I guess it was time. Like, I think it was just time for her to say, okay, now, I don't know why. So tell me a little bit about your story.
You want me to go way back? You want me to start?
Guess this is like a movie. I'm not kidding. And I say this about a lot of people I meet because I think the people I meet are supposed to do a movie. I don't know why. But this, like, I was in awe of how many challenges this young lady had and how many things she had gone through and overcame and kept going and going and going and going. And I'm like, when is this going to end, right? So go back, yes.
Okay, I will back up to my first memory. I was 3 years old. I was in my playpen, and the bars were there, and I'm holding on to them. And my stepfather is choking my mom and beating her head on the ground, and there's blood everywhere, and I'm screaming, and I can't get out, and I can't save her. And I didn't know the full story then. I know now he was apparently trying to sexually assault me through my diaper, and she came in and found it and was fighting him, and he lost it. She ended up in the hospital. It was I get glimpses because when you're 3, you don't know what's going on, whatever. But when your first memory is something that traumatic from someone you love so much, I do think it changes a person. And I think my strength started then. That's when I started where it was like, no one's gonna save me. I'm gonna need to start saving myself this is where it starts. So my mom saved up money, and she was pregnant with my little sister. She was like 8 months pregnant, and we hitchhiked across the country. We were in somewhere in South Carolina, the north area, and we hitchhiked all the way down to Florida. We ate berries and nuts on the way. Got to Florida, got to family here, because my mother was the 9th of 10 children. So we had like her siblings all over the country, but that was the closest one we could get to be safe. So I guess I'll jump ahead a little. She was a brilliant woman and super loving. She still is. Just started getting broken then. I think the PTSD just really started to change who she was. She ended up having my sister, and that was a product of that stepfather. She comes back to Florida, gets back with my father, gets pregnant with my brother. So now she has 3 children and no man and no real money. She cleans houses to try to support us. She was very smart. She ended up getting some sort of scholarship or grant to go back to college. And she got 2 years into it, and she's making it work with the 3 of us kids. And a man enters her life and convinces her to spend the rest of her college money to fix his truck. so that he can take us places, because we didn't have a car. And she does, and he leaves. And he leaves her with a newborn baby, 2 other kids, no way to pay the rent. And this is me comforting her. I'm like 5 years old now, I guess, and everything was fine until a man entered your life, you know, like, I'm a 5-year-old telling her this, like, you just really gotta stay away from men, you know, like, so we survived it, we got through, we moved a lot, we moved like every month. I'm gonna fast forward some more. I start taking more of a parental role because my mom starts to develop addiction. It starts with alcoholism, it gets worse. And so I'm taking care of the kids. Gets to where I'm 15, and Mom would go to the bar down the street. It was thankfully within walking distance because we still didn't have a car. Oh, I skipped a really good part. Can I back up a little?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so we're about 10. I'm about 10 at this point, and we go back to South Carolina to my aunt to help take care of us because my mom's now a crack addict, and it's bad, and no way to get anywhere. We get into this trailer park near Columbia, South Carolina. It was a mixed race in that we were the only white people in the trailer park, but there were about 200 trailers. And there was a lot of bullying of us going on in this trailer park. The trailer had about 30 bullet holes from one end of it to the other. It went through every room. We could peek at each other through the holes and talk to my sister in the next room. Places in the floor were falling through. In the winter, we were freezing. Often the electricity would go off, so Mom would make it a game and we'd light candles and act like we were camping. But she was very much addicted to crack at this point, and ended up my aunt took us and took custody of us, and my mom went back to Florida to regroup again, which is apparently where she keeps coming back. And I learned stability through my aunt and how to take care of myself financially. She taught me a lot of the things that thankfully my mom wasn't able to teach, but I was able to get it from her. So back to Florida because I missed my mom. I wanted to be back with her. Well, then I didn't know how bad her addiction was getting at that point. So the night I was 15 and my mom had stumbled home from the bar. I had already helped my brother, sister, fed them, put them to bed, did all their homework, whatever. She came home at like 3 a.m. and drug them out of bed because she decided she was going to feed them dinner. So I'm telling her all the time, what are you doing? They've already eaten. She's like, no, it's time for them to eat. And I'm the mom. I say what happens, you know. And she puts them at the table and puts a plan of spaghetti and meatballs in front of each of them. And they're just sitting there. They're like, what's going on? They don't even know what's going on. And my little brother, I see he was probably like maybe 6 or something. And he's just like nodding off. And she came behind him and slapped the back of his head. And his face went into the spaghetti. And I lost it. And because I had been taking care of them, these were like my kids. And I just start like hitting her and like, get away from him, do not touch him, you know, like, you go to bed. Like sending her to bed, you know, whatever. She ends up picking up a knife, chasing me around the house. She tries to kick me and I grab her foot and she falls on her back. And I remember thinking, if she gets up, I am dead. Like, I ran out of the house and I called my cousin to come pick me up and I never went home after that. But unfortunately, I had this huge guilt for leaving my brother and sister in that environment because there was nowhere there to protect them. You know, so I went through this phase where I lived with friends on couches. I was homeless. I slept in my car. I was working through all of it, but I didn't have, you know, when you don't have a launching pad, getting a place to live is really a lot harder than it seems like it would be. No help from anyone, you know, but thankfully friends. I did have help from friends and clothes and stuff like that. But anyway, I got my stuff together. I moved to New Jersey for a boy because I was homeless, and his family's like, come live with us. We're moving to New Jersey. What could go wrong, right? So yeah, that ended as you would expect. And I came back to Florida, and I was 17 at the time, and I'm going to visit my brother and sister. They're in these foster homes because my sister's 12, and she was at a party, and she got date raped, and she got pregnant at 12. So she had her baby at 13 in a mother's home in Jacksonville. No family around, nobody, by herself. She never got a baby shower, nothing. And then she got put into this other group home where the woman was exploiting handicapped children, like using them for the paycheck. They weren't allowed to bathe. It was filthy because she didn't want a water bill. So they basically had like this much water to do the dishes in. She had to like keep wetting the rag to do dishes. She has a brand new baby and she's trying to keep it clean and she can't even bathe. It was just terrible. My little brother, they separated them. He's bouncing from home to home because he doesn't even know how to deal with having authority now. He's never been told what to do. He just pretty much lived freely. He got arrested the first time when he was 9 years old for armed robbery. And it was a misunderstanding, but we don't have a family behind you to support you. You know, they're going to imagine the worst and no one's going to stand up and say no. So someone had stolen my little brother's bike, which was the only thing he had. It was a Christmas gift. And he went to go get it and he brought it back home. Well, that family he got it back from called the cops on him. And they came and he's like, what, this is my bike. They searched him, he had a little pocket knife and they turned it into armed robbery. So anyway, I'm chasing them around, trying to like keep the family together. You know, I'm 17, I'm working, and I decided that I'm gonna adopt them. Like I'm gonna get my stuff together and adopt them. So I started the proceedings so that when I turned 18, I could get them. And I did it. It's a lot easier when you're a family member than it were some regular 18-year-old trying to adopt a bunch of kids, because they really are overloaded in the system and they wanted, you know, them to be with family. So I adopted my sister and a baby. I was an 18-year-old grandmother. The year before in high school, I was on the student government, and I had actually helped to bring in this teen parent program to our high school so that teen parents could have their own wing and they could see their babies and have them on campus and come, you know, and learn and still have a good future ahead of them. And I had no idea that this would turn into my little sister using it. So that was only 2 years later.
What led you to think that way?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Yeah, no idea still? So I think I asked you that before. But.
Yeah, I don't. It was just something I thought was an amazing project, and I wanted to be a part of it.
All right, so let me recap. Yeah. You're thinking, what's my challenge again? 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, 17, I'm adopting my brother and my sister and my niece. What's your issue? what's your I'm sorry, I'm just asking. What's your challenge? And this is, I heard this story. And there's more detail because we talked for hours. I mean, it was just, I'm like, why haven't we, Hollywood, this is a movie. And there's more, but I just want to give you a recap, okay? Homeless, figured out how to work. Still wanted to come back for her sister and her brother. All this stuff, all of it is sacrificial. Think about it. I want you guys to think about that word. Everything she did through this time is sacrificial. How many mothers do I have here? Right? Your whole life is sacrificial. You have how many kids? You have 3. Sacrificial. I'm sorry, it is. Because you just stop you. What am I going to do for them? Then, this is the sister. This is not the mother. And she's homeless, and she's all over the place. And she decides, hey, I'm going to adopt my brother. When she said that, I think I had the same laugh. You what? You adopted your brother and your sister, and you were how old? Okay, so I give you a recap, right? Okay, part 2. Here we go.
Okay, so if you think, having a baby is hard, and you think having a teenager is hard, you should try having a teenager with a baby.
Teenager?
Oh yeah. So she's like 14, as a baby, and they want to rebel, and I'm trying to like help the baby. And then when the baby got older, they're fighting like siblings because they're basically 12 years apart, and I'm separating them, and it's situations you would never think would be possible. But anyway, so that happened.
That happened, yes.
Yeah. And then I had this like a few years of normalcy, my sister got old enough to get her own place. She and my niece got a place. She started doing work in real estate. My brother, a whole other chapter on him, but he ended up another attempted murder charge, and he was in drugs. My mother actually introduced him to drugs, which is really hard to accept. Because I'm over here struggling to pull it all together, and then she's gonna come and just tear it all apart again. So anyway, he actually went to prison. It ended up being for the charge was manslaughter. They lowered it. Then it was leaving the scene of a crime involving death, because he was driving away and this guy was chasing after his car, holding onto the windshield, trying to get drugs from him. And he's like, get off me, and he keeps driving. The guy was wearing flip-flops. He tripped, fell, and hit his head on the curb, and he died. So my brother got murder charges initially. And all this going on, and me trying to still hold the family together.
And how old were you then?
Let's see, I was probably in my early 30s. Yeah.
So as a teenager, it's hard enough, right? Mm-hmm. We have a teenager, right, today? We have a teenager. It's hard enough. Think about you, basically your life is like, no, I'm holding on me, and I'm going to go and take care of 3 children, basically. Mm-hmm. That to me was already a story to me. But then we fast forward. Now, today I'll say this, she was a fitness competitor, fitness model, spokesperson, she was on television, she has a powerlifting record, right? You still hold the record?
It was actually taken like a week ago.
A week ago? You just lost it?
Yeah.
You couldn't wait another week, so I
know,
can say
right?
you hold the record?
I know.
So I'm saying this is someone that eventually started living her life, eventually, right? And she has a career over 20 years, right, as a partner in the company. So she has her own house, and she has everything. Eventually, she found her passion, right? But then there's another story she says, because again, there's got to be a connection, right? Somehow, it's like, why are we connecting, right? And what happened?
When I was 36 when I started feeling a lump in my breast. And then 38, well, the doctor kept telling me, we're not sure, we'll keep an eye on it. Just keep getting a mammogram every 6 months, which basically means we're going to smash and radiate these cells over and over again for the next couple of years. So by the time they finally took me seriously, and I'm like, no, this is not right, something's wrong, I had stage 3 breast cancer. So that was actually, I had some survivor's guilt with that, because it wasn't as difficult as I expected it to be. And I'd heard so many stories of people who had it so much worse. All I did was have surgery to remove, I had a mastectomy on my left, and then I went through some weeks of psychoneuroimmunology, like some holistic healing, because they had done a DNA test on the tumor itself and found that it was super low likelihood of coming back. It was like 8%, which is much less than just any woman walking the street. And also that it likely wouldn't even respond well to chemo. Yeah.
Well, but think about it. There's a preview. Remember I talked about preparation? 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15. Like, how much more stress can you put on yourself? And then you get cancer. They removed it. There's an 8%. Wow, that's nothing. Yeah. I was homeless, living at 15 years old in you were living in an apartment. I don't know how you got there. I forgot. You told me you got an apartment.
Yeah.
At 15 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah, I was 17.
17.
Yeah.
She got an apartment and she lived by herself. So again, here comes cancer. It's like, woo! It's like, okay. Why? Because the percentage was 8%. But getting a mastectomy, to me, it's for a woman, it's like me getting a testicular cancer and having, it's like a big thing for us.
No, of course.
Right?
But I mean, on top of it, she's like, I have survivor's guilt.
Yes. But
Yeah.
there's a preparation. That's what I'm trying to say. The key was already there. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening to this, and I'm like, oh my God, what else?
I know, right?
Seriously.
I'm like, such a drag.
I'm thinking about me. I said, yeah, but I survived, so I'm already over me. I'm looking at, again, I love kids. So kids and women, those are my 2 things. Kids and women, that's it. I love talking to kids, and I love talking to women. So I'm looking at this, she's a child, and she's going through all this stuff. And I'm talking to her. Well, it was FaceTime at the time, because I hadn't met her in person. I finally went to meet her, as I had to meet her. It's like, I need to meet you in person. Are you real? So she's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like going, okay, God, what do you want me to? So I'm telling her, I'm like pushing her. I was like, you gotta tell your story. You gotta tell your story. You gotta do this, please. People have to hear this, right?
And I'm like, it's just my life. Like, nobody wants to hear this. Like, what?
Did you want to hear this? Right? Does this shock you, by the way? You weren't ready for this. I didn't want to put it out there because, again, and she'll tell you in a minute why, what's going on with her right now. She had to drive 3.5 hours to be here today.
I feel petty for feeling the way I feel.
But that's the thing. You start looking at other people's challenges, but if she doesn't tell you the story, all you're thinking about is, oh, well, Dave had a great seminar. I got to learn a lot of tools, but I already knew his story. You got to hear me already. See what I'm saying? Now you're hearing something you didn't expect coming here. And I told her, you would be a blessing to all these women, and I'm so grateful all of you showed up today. This is the first time she shared this in public.
Thanks
period.
for listening.
So, but we're not done yet.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. Wait, Gary, wait, there's more. So she does, can I say ayahuasca?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she went through ayahuasca. She went through all this stuff. She's finding herself. She's, she's taught me a lot about ayahuasca. I mean, again, I went through what I went through. That's fine. But there's all these other things that are existing in the world that do help you. So I always tell people, it's like, listen, whatever helped you, amen, hallelujah. That was an instrument. She's going to this. She's finding herself. She's finding all her strength. Why she's going through all this stuff. She's getting all these answers. And then she was healed of cancer, right? I can say that.
Yeah.
She was healed. No more, right? No more. Then we meet, and I tell her, Shelly, you gotta tell your story. Then she did. I went to Daytona.
Where?
A restaurant.
Okay.
So we go in there, and I'm like, okay, we meet, we talk, blah blah blah, and she's already done a couple interviews. Remember? Yeah, because her girlfriend, her best friend, right?
Yeah.
She's telling her, you gotta tell your story. So now she's got her friend in New York.
No, Orlando.
Orlando. But was she in New York before?
She's from New York.
She's from New York. That's what I remember. So we haven't talked in a while. We clicked back again this week, and I said, oh, would you come? That'd be awesome. Anyway, her friend is telling her the same thing I'm telling her, just in different whatever, right?
You need to do a movie.
No, and I told her this already. No, seriously, I will write it. I told her already. I'll produce it. I told her that I want to get somebody behind it.
She's that movie that you're after.
No, all of you are the movie I'm after. That's what you guys don't understand. My big dream is to produce documentaries and films about my clients' stories when they're ready to share it. That's a production studio. Why do you think Gary's in my life? Hello.
You heard that?
Gary's in my life because he's supposed to manage that studio.
You see that?
And then he'll never be Baker actor again. Because he'll be in a big. You know what, my whole, everybody has like a bar. Tyler Perry's my bar. The largest studio in the world is Tyler Perry. It's not Universal. It's actually Universal, Disney, all of them are smaller than Tyler Perry's studio in Atlanta, believe it or not.
Until he finishes.
Or maybe, yeah, he's gonna manage the biggest studio in the world, I know. It's gonna be, but anyway, that's my thing. So anyway, we reconnect again. And yes, she had done interviews already. She's been on television. She shares this with me. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. And then she goes, and then last year she says, I'm going to start competing again. And she started doing powerlifting again. And blah, 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 blah. And then here comes the final act. And how long ago was it?
So you want me to go ahead with all of it?
To where we are now.
All right. So after the cancer, they're basically telling me probably shouldn't lift heavy, and especially what I do, like there's certain gear that goes across your chest, and they like that could be bad for the tissues, all that. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm gonna get a world record. Like that's not on my plan. So I did. I got my world record. It was a beautiful moment, and then that was last year. So it's been almost a year. I'm starting to get these like. This rib keeps popping out, and I keep going to the chiropractor and having them put it back in, and I'm like, what is going on? So they go to do an x-ray to see if maybe my rib is cracked, and they find a 3-centimeter mass in my right lung. So I go get a CT scan, they find more, just had my PET, this is last week. So I had the PET scan a couple days ago, and they found that there are 20 masses throughout my lungs. I have them in my diaphragm, my pleura around my rib cage, my lower spine and my left hip, and I have a brain scan in a few days because they're suspecting brain, which is probably why I'm still laughing. It doesn't make any sense because honestly I feel physically, emotionally, spiritually better than I ever have, and it's like you're gonna tell me I'm supposed to die in a couple months? This makes no sense. So here we are.
When people say I want to be like you, David, I'm like, no, you don't, right? It's like, okay, all my organs were covered. Here it goes. No cure. There you go. Second diagnosis. I mean, like, if I could get a twin, saying this is like, it's like the same story coming back. Now, when I talked to her, I said, okay, what are you thinking? What did you say?
There's been a lot going on the last week, so I'm
Yeah.
probably going to be off on this.
That's
But
fine.
I mean, so
I said, where was your mind at?
oh, my mind's great. I feel great. I fully intend to blow away all of the expectations. So beating odds is what I've done since I was a kid.
3.
Yeah, I am a business owner. I am a champion athlete. I beat odds, and this is one of those situations. I've been training for this my whole life. You know,
I can't make this up. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would meet somebody that had literally walked my path. And when I heard her talk, I know her voice. So when I heard her talk, I'm like, okay, I'm in. How can we fight? Let's go. You're going to be crazy? Everybody's going to call you crazy like they're calling me? That's okay. Because my crazy is who you're looking at right now. Am I alive? Are you seeing me? Right? So I'm 15 years cancer-free after all that stuff. So if I'm here and you're seeing me, I survived. And that's why I put a thriver. She's not going to just survive this, she's going to thrive through it. Because I've already told her, I said, here is my blueprint. Now you'll have your own blueprint because it's her life. But here's some tools, and then maybe we found the reason why God put me in your life and why so many years ago I reached out to her, and then now here we come. Isn't that crazy? And do I believe she's going to be healed? Yes. The how, I have absolutely no freaking idea. And I'm trying not to curse, because if I curse, this woman would actually she'll be laughing. She loves when I curse.
it makes my day.
Yes.
It's the best.
So it's just like, to me, it's like, okay, God, you took me through this whole circle. We connected years later. She is somebody that I can't even fathom what she went through. And then now you're taking her through kind of the same course that I went through. They gave me 3 days though. They're giving her months. So she's ahead of me a little bit, right? But there's the blueprint, and there she can see somebody that's a miracle that's in her life. So she's the next miracle. And I told her, I said, maybe this is like me, the second calling. Why? Because now you're going to get your butt up, and now you're going to tell your story.
See, now I think my story's worth telling. It makes sense to me now.
Now. Yeah, now. Yeah, adopt 2 kids, their brother. Who adopts their brother and sister? What's the percentage? You're a social worker. How many people actually adopt a brother and sister? What's the percentage? It's got to be low. It's got to be low. You know? It's got to be low.
I've never met any. Everyone tells
I've
me.
met a couple people, but again, it was older because somebody passed away. Their sister passed away, and they already have a house. They have a wife. They just bring their kid in. This is a 15-year-old.
Yeah, but I can 1,000% understand her passion, and if I was in her shoes, I would have done the same thing.
I want to believe that. When people say, how, I would have never done that, I'm like, I think you would have. I really do.
Situation. I think so.
Yeah. There was never a doubt. There was never should I. It was like, I'm doing this. It's
You
just,
have to, because you have to fight for them.
Mhm.
Yes.
So think about what you just said. There was never a doubt. What did she say when I told her, when you broke the world record?
I didn't think about it.
That's the same thing. Preparation. Can you guys go, ladies, the dots? Connect the dots. Preparation at 3, at 5, at 10, at 15, 17, 19. It's all there. You have the key. Whatever you're going through right now, at 14, at 22, you have the key. It's just you're not looking deep enough to figure out what you've already overcome. All of you have already gone through your own story, but you're not giving it power. She's finally seeing the power. Now, what she said, now is worth telling my story. Really? You're going to make me curse at some point in this conversation. I know you will.
but I know right now, like my outlook and how I feel about it and how I know that I'm going to be okay. There's no way I'd be here if I hadn't gone through all that shit. There's no way. I would have crumbled. I'd be crying. I'd be just a mess. And it's like, there's just another challenge. I love challenges.
Isn't that what I said in the video? Is that familiar? I can't make this stuff up. By the way, we haven't talked about this. We talked about, I said, would you come to the seminar? That's all I said. And then I said, wait, there's
I want
more.
to highlight something,
Yes.
okay?
You're gonna
And
what?
just a parallel that I just understood right now when she just said something.
Okay.
In your first, when you first got cancer,
Yeah, August 13th. Uh-huh.
the first
Yep.
round, there's a lot you didn't know.
No, it took me 2 years to figure out what I needed to battle it.
You had to go
How many
through a
years has it
lot.
been?
5 years. It was 2 days before my 5-year anniversary of being cancer-free that I found out I had it again. That's when they usually say you're home, you're free, don't have to worry about it. We can switch to like every 3
auto
years.
warranty.
Yeah, exactly.
It expired. Oh my God, I love this. This is great.
You know, it's there's nothing that can make you, there's nothing that cancer could give you, could break you, because you're already healed.
Yep.
Amen.
I just got chills because God told me.
Come on, download.
Amen.
So, what's the title of this seminar?
Be excited through your challenges. God bless.
Is she excited?
She's
Yes.
ecstatic.
She is.
Excited. Like, I don't
And-
know that I would be the same way.
I've talked to her a few times this
It's the
week.
tumor.
Yeah. So I just feel like this is like me, cancer was just another challenge. It was the only one that led to my purpose, revealed my purpose, and I believe that's what's going to reveal her to go talk. She got her coaching license already. She wants to speak. She told me, and I was like, really? Finally? So again, this was just kind of like a last second thing. I just invited her and said, I really want to see you. I'm praying for you, of course, you know that. And it's like you said, you wanted me to know. So I appreciate that. I mean, it's a privilege, but I feel it's a privilege and a blessing that you allow me to pull you in to say, okay, can you tell your story? How do you feel now?
Good. I can't believe I didn't cry and snot everywhere. I'm really impressed with myself right now.
Well, I did pray before that we were going to make it through, so yeah. Again, thank you for being here. I hope this blessed you today. And let's just all keep her in prayer.